to the BKBK podcast, where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Brian Taylor and Captain Kyle McKenna. And Kerry couldn't make it in today, but after watching Sam Darnold against the Dolphins, he told us that his evaluation of Sam Darnold is complete. Sam needs to go, and we need to bring in Trevor.
Complete on, por favor.
With that Jamaican name, you need to come in here with that old Jamaican name of yours. It should have been named Donovan, but I'll take you anyway.
Trevor, come here.
Trevor. Actually, it's really British, but you know, bum. I got to go for the jokes. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so
that was a joke.
Yeah. You know, listen, bro. Listen, we're all fathers here. We've gotten corny now. We got to come with the dad jokes. So
okay, all right.
Listen, yeah.
With the dad bods too, you know, with the dad bod.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room between Sam Darnold going and Trevor Lawrence coming. I'm sure we will unpack that.
What do you mean by room, Kyle? What do you mean by room?
No, just when we talk about just catching everybody up on how the text stream has been going this week. Brian and I had it seemed like a two-man conversation yesterday because nobody else was responding. But the thought process of whether you keep Darnold even if you bring Trevor Lawrence in, I think at some point, like Kerry is doing right now, there has to be an evaluation of Sam Darnold as far as whether he stays or goes versus whether he stays and plays. And that's where I think that the room is. If he stays and you draft Trevor Lawrence and you do it with the intention of Trevor Lawrence playing right away, then there's options there. If you jettison him, if you send him off either via trade or something else, then what is the plan going forward? And that's kind of what Brian and I were talking about yesterday. I really have I'm of the opinion that if you jettison Sam Darnold, which it looks like a lot of people may want to do now, you're going to need to draft two quarterbacks in this draft if you have the first pick that could potentially at some point compete to a start. Because I think that this is a much richer quarterback draft than people realize as of right now.
Hey, Kyle, what about the mindset of drafting Trevor Lawrence and then bringing in a capable backup that's a veteran to kind of help nurture and tutor this guy? Like, I don't remember off the top of my head which quarterbacks would be available via free agency come the 2021 free agency period. But that's kind of the mind frame that I'm in right now. I want to see the audition of Sam Darnold be at its peak without us basically winning. So to ensure Trevor coming here and being able to draft him and then being able to trade him and get the most back for him, either a low first or a high second. That's as high as I'm seeing him go for these remaining 5 games if he plays very well. But I think it would be a weird chemistry in the locker room if Sam were to stay and we were to get Trevor. I think we just need to make the decision, clean house, get the most back for trading him, and bring in a veteran quarterback who knows his role. And I'm just not sure off the top of my head who that guy is because I haven't looked at who's going to be available, but I think that that's the best option. Trevor,
I feel like haven't we done that multiple times without franchise quarterback success? Right now with Joe Flacco as the backup and Sam Darnold as the starter, or with Josh McCown as the backup or the starter with a young Sam Darnold. I think that if you're going to do something like that, you want to have more things taken care of in all the other offensive positions than we currently have. I think the one thing that we've learned in the last 2 weeks is no matter who's playing quarterback, Rashad Perriman and Denzel Mims are pretty good receivers that can do
Absolutely.
something for us.
Absolutely.
And to the point even that they've kind of made Jamison Crowder less of an option, but not in a bad way, really. Because if you're going to have targets going to those two guys, Crowder's going to have less targets. But we also need to shore up the O-line. We need to have a running back that's going to be our running game of the future. Frank Gore isn't that. P. Ryan might be a piece of that, but I don't think he's the total package with it. So I don't know about the idea of going with that journeyman backup with the draft pick this time around. And the reason I say that, and one of the things that me and Brian were talking about yesterday was, if you compare this upcoming quarterback draft to 2012, I think it's very similar in the amount of quarterbacks that are going to be there that have a higher than likely non-bust potential. And if you look back at 2012, it was similar. We had like the no-brainer at number 1 with Andrew Luck, and a lot of people have compared Trevor Lawrence to an Andrew Luck. I think you have, Brandon, several times.
Well, I didn't compare him to Andrew Luck in the sense like I felt like they had the same skill set, but I did compare them as far as being a generational piece and as far as how the critics and the evaluators have ranked them high. Like they thought Andrew Luck was the highest ranked quarterback, I think, since Peyton Manning. And then Andrew Luck, and then now Trevor Lawrence is the highest ranked quarterback since Andrew Luck. But I don't think that their play is exactly the same.
No, that's the way I was interpreting it.
Okay.
Like you have at the top, you have a can't miss guy.
Yes.
Sure.
And then you have a bunch of other quarterbacks in this draft that are pretty good. So in 2012, you had Andrew Luck as that can't miss guy. Then you had Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. You had Kirk Cousins in the I believe the 5th round or the 6th round.
And Kirk Cousins still stinks.
Yeah, I still don't like Kirk Cousins,
but he's still a starting quarterback in this league, and he's still not half bad. At the end of the day, I think if they had other pieces, if their defense was back to where it was a couple of years ago, then I think Minnesota would be a better team. And they've started off slow, but they've kind of worked their way back a little bit into respectability. So and again, you got Diggs out there. Diggs is nobody until he comes out, right? Until Kirk Cousins out there. Thielen, who the heck was he? Until Kirk Cousins was out there. So you turn those guys into weapons at this point in time, where previously they were kind of nobodies. But let's get back to why we're here, right? And I was here a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month, 2 months ago, where Sam Darnold's not the answer, right? And it came up with that revelation a long time ago, and especially when we were losing games and looked like we were in contention for the number 1 pick. Sam Darnold's just not the answer. And today just put the nail in the coffin for, I guess, some other folks on the podcast, like Kerry Taylor. I don't know, Kyle, you might have been on the fence. I know Brandon kind of came over to the dark side a couple of weeks ago.
I did.
From that perspective. But he came out, and typical Sam Darnold, right? Somewhat accurate in the first half, but not outstanding. No standout plays, but like a pass that looked like, oh, that's nice. Wow, this guy could be something. And then bonehead interception, throwing the ball as he's have you seen this interception 5 times from this guy already?
Yeah, we have.
You've seen the same thing, right? This is
interception so much.
Deja vu. Right?
Yeah.
And it's decision making. Has nothing to do with the offensive line.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with Gase.
If you look at that particular interception, Brian, the guy was double covered.
Yeah, he was double covered.
And he does this all the time.
And I've seen what makes you even more infuriated is that you watch, I hate to bring up his name, Mahomes, right? Pat Mahomes, right? Do the same exact thing 2 or 3 times today, but with different results. Where if you're gonna throw that ball, you don't throw it across your body. You throw it to the sideline, where either your guy gets it or it goes out of bounds. But you don't throw it into traffic, and you have the ability to see the entire field. There's no hiding coverage, right? There's no hiding covers. There's no nothing. You see the bodies. They're straight in front of you. There's nobody that's all of a sudden pops from out of nowhere. Like, and you just threw the ball straight into the guy's belly. It's like.
So then, guys, let me just get some clarification. I just want to know, rock solid, your positioning on this. So it seems as if you both, because Kyle started talking about it, I just want to get confirmation just from you both. You guys want Trevor, and you guys want to keep Sam, create a competition, best person wins.
So,
or am I wrong?
Let me start. So, at the beginning of today's game, before it started, I was, listen, plan A is to get Trevor Lawrence, right?
Right.
Lose all the games, be competitive, get Trevor Lawrence, which the plan didn't work out today, right? With Flacco in there, it kind of worked out, but didn't work out today, right? Because we weren't even close. But anywho, so come close, lose games, Trevor Lawrence, number one. Then evaluate Sam over the next couple of games and see if he could be somebody that you keep if you don't get the draft capital via trade, right? So you keep him, you have him fight it out with Trevor and see who wins. Trevor's going to win, right? But ultimately, if you have a capable backup in Darnold, then why not keep him? You have the fourth year anyway. You don't have to pick up his fifth-year option. And then you let him leave or trade him at some point next year. But get value for him. At this point, based on what happened today, I think Flacco's a better option than Darnold as the backup. And the other thing as part of that plan was, man, if we end up, God forbid, with the number 2 pick instead, because we win a meaningless game, then you know what? We trade down and get picks and all that kind of stuff, and we keep Sam Darnold. That is out. That is not my plan at all. I do not want Sam Darnold under center at any point in time as our starting quarterback after this year. So if that means evaluating to what Kyle and I were talking about over the weekend was what's the second option or third option or fourth option or whatever else. I could still trade down, right? Maybe pick up somebody else. Alabama quarterback or some of the other quarterbacks that have yet to show themselves at this point, but that's where I'm at. I do not want Sam Darnold to be the quarterback of the New York Jets next year. I don't think weapons, offensive line, new coach is going to change who this guy is at this point in time in his career, and I don't want to be frustrated by another year of incompetent quarterback play. Just my thought.
Couldn't be more crystal clear than that. Kyle, what do you think? Are you in the same boat as Brian?
I think that one of the things that Brian said before was like typical Sam Darnold. So when you say something like typical Sam Darnold, that means that he now has a track record. So you're not basing your opinion on him about what he might be. You're basing your opinion on what he is. And what he is right now is a guy that throws more interceptions than touchdown passes. That's what he is. He does. That's typical Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold has not thrown a touchdown pass since September.
He throws more interceptions than touchdown passes. I watch 10 quarterbacks in the league that are the opposite, and that's typical for them. It is typical for Josh Allen, who I don't think is an accurate passer, who's gotten better, but he throws more touchdown passes than he throws interceptions. Rookie Justin Herbert throws more touchdown passes than he throws interceptions. So if the guy that we want, if we're going into year 3 on somebody or year 4, and we're saying to ourselves, what is typical Sam Darnold? If typical Sam Darnold is that he's not going to win us games because he turns the ball over, then it's time for somebody else. And now I am kind of in the same boat from like a GM perspective with Brian, that I would consider keeping a young backup rather than a journeyman backup, because I really don't know how much more tread a Joe Flacco has on the tires, to go another year or something like that. It may have been, I didn't even know that going into this year, coming off neck surgery and things like that. So I don't know if Joe Flacco is a better option than young Sam Darnold on, playing out his contract. And I don't agree with you, Brandon, that he'll get anywhere near a low first round draft pick.
Not at all.
Nowhere
Not at
near
all.
it.
Not at all.
Not at all. I mean, you are lucky if you get a third round draft pick for Sam Darnold, for typical Sam Darnold at this point. And the reason is what we talked about last week. He is not better than any starter currently playing on an NFL team right now.
That's correct.
He's
Let me just explain
33
myself.
and on.
No, I understand where you're coming from, Kyle.
Yeah.
My point was, I was saying, with hope in mind, he plays well enough to increase his stock to the point that we could get a low first, high second for him. I'm not saying that he's of that value right now, because he clearly isn't. And then I was looking back at what Miami got for, Arizona got for trading away Josh Rosen. And Josh Rosen is like third on the bench somewhere. And they got I believe they got a second round draft pick. So I'm using that to kind of find value, but also.
He had a lot less body of work when they made that trade.
That's true. That's very true. And that's why I'm trying to be hopeful that Sam plays well enough with these last 5 games to increase his stock. That's really all it is. Because honestly, at this point now, I do not want Sam Darnold on the New York Jets. I do wish him well. I think he's a great kid. I like him. But I think it is definitely time to move on. I want Trevor, but I do want a capable backup to be that backup. And I don't want to have to, in the same draft Trevor Lawrence, and then with a higher draft pick, say like a third rounder or something like that, draft another quarterback. I do not want to do that at all.
I just think that where our roster composition, sorry to interrupt you, B, but our roster composition is just not in a position where we can do that at this juncture.
What are you talking about?
Draft 2 quarterbacks in 2021. I just don't think.
Why do you say that? I want to know. I want to know your rationale for that.
Well, the rationale is our roster. The general managers have left the cupboard bare, and in order for us to, listen. I think we're going to have to sell Trevor Lawrence, and trust, we're going to have to sell him on coming to the New York Jets. And one of the things we're going to have to sell him on is what we're going to put around him. And
by getting rid of Gase. First, by getting rid of Gase.
Oh, of course. But beyond that, because that has nothing to do with the draft picks. Gase is, of course, right. Gase is gone.
Brian, I'm going to let you just finish. But one thing, just to let everyone know that Sam Darnold has to be, if we're going to keep him, he has to be signed for his 5th-year option this coming May. Just so that everybody knows that this coming May of 2021, if we're going to keep him, he has to be signed to his 5th year by then. Go ahead.
So you're going to have to sell Trevor Lawrence or coming to the New York Jets. Part of that is being able to reconstruct this roster. And I can't see us selling him on, you know what, we're going to draft your backup in round 4 or round 5 as part of, reconstructing this roster. He's going to look at it like, man, I need that 4th round or 5th round draft pick on a running back or on a wide receiver or on an O-lineman or something like that in order to put somebody in front of me in order to protect me. So I think just from that perspective, we're definitely going to have to, again, sell him on how we're going to reconstruct the roster. And I don't think that includes a second quarterback. Now, what I would say is that you always want to be looking at 2 things during each and every draft: a developmental quarterback and a pass rusher. And we haven't done a good job of either over the last whatever period of time. So maybe that'll change in how we look at things. See circa, I don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't they always have a plethora of wide receivers and pass rushers? Always.
Yes, they do.
Always. And they don't even re-sign half of them, right? They're like, you know what? This guy was all right. We went through the 4 years. You know what? Bud Dupree. Let's bring him in. Let's bring in another one. But they always draft those guys, and they always have them on the roster. And I think that we just have to, think about our philosophy moving forward. Next year, maybe, Kyle. I think that's it. But why not keep Flacco, Darnold, and have Trevor Lawrence there? You can keep 3 quarterbacks. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I want my quarterback, who I'm envisioning starting, Trevor Lawrence,
Mhm.
coming in with a clear psyche, a clear mind, having Darnold here, who's been a starter for the past 3 years, and potentially in his own mind, potentially threatening his position. I don't like that at all. Darnold either needs to be here and
What if you don't
start or not be here.
what if
And
you
I
don't get the
don't
draft
want Darnold
capital
here.
you're looking for? What if you don't get the
What you
draft
said?
capital you're looking for?
Well, I already told you what I'm looking for, so I'm hoping that he plays well enough so that we can get it. But if we settle for a third rounder, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I think Darnold can give us a third rounder. I mean, look at what's his name, D. Lyman Williams. He wasn't playing all that well, and we got a third rounder from the Giants for him. I think Darnold
Leonard Williams you're talking about.
rounder. Huh?
I said Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams.
The
Thank you.
big
Yeah. So Leonard Williams got us a third rounder. I mean, I think that we can get a third rounder for Darnold. And since he's a quarterback, I think we can potentially get a second rounder.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Leonard Williams was a Pro Bowler.
Once.
That had a great cap number as well because he hadn't been re-signed yet. I don't think that's I don't think that's a good comp. But
I mean, he didn't have great stats. He was a Pro Bowler once, and Quentin Williams is already better than.
Yeah, but you're talking about the 33rd best quarterback in the league right now.
Right.
So,
right.
That's not a Pro Bowler once. That's a guy that hasn't finished the season.
I get it, but he is the 33rd best quarterback that's been put in a bad situation that has regressed because of the coaching, and I still see potential in him. I think he can go to another team, maybe like the Bears or another quarterback deficient team. And if coached properly, I think he can have success in the NFL. I think Darnold can still have success. So then
why do you want to trade him if you have a whole new coaching staff coming in?
Why do I want to trade him?
The Jets are going to be a new team.
Because sometimes people need a new environment. Sometimes people, psychologically, this is football. Sometimes he needs to just go elsewhere. And Trevor Lawrence is comes with a lot more potential than Sam Darnold. Trevor Lawrence is a generational. So far, he's looking to be a generational type of quarterback that I don't want to miss out on.
Yeah, I just think that this whole idea of putting somebody on the mantle and saying that we're going to give you a backup just in case something happens has not worked. I like competition. I like people pushing other people to get on the field. I like the fact that Ryan Fitzpatrick is mad because Tua's going to start. I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins.
He's a 38-year-old journeyman.
So is Joe Flacco now.
Yeah, but Flacco's resume is way better than Fitzpatrick's.
I like what Kyle's saying.
What I'm saying here, what I'm saying is that if you look at a team like the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, they're very, very comparable. They both stink. All right. I still think the Dolphins stink. I don't think they're good yet.
I think you're wrong.
However, please don't tell me I'm wrong about my opinion.
Well, I disagree. How about that?
Okay, you disagree. That's fine. But however good they are or better than the Jets, they did it in exactly the same amount of time. Okay, they hired Flores and fired Gase last year. Gase comes here. Okay, poor general management, poor coaching. We're in the situation we're in with 0-10. But in Miami, they took the losses early with trading away some of their guys, like we're doing now.
Yep.
They gained draft picks. They have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks on their team that are better than the ones that we currently have on ours. Both of them would be a more quality starter than either one of the guys that are on our team.
Right.
Am I wrong about that?
That's fine. But here's the thing, in my opinion, so let's just say we had an opportunity to get Fitzpatrick and bring in Trevor Lawrence. I'd jump at that opportunity all day. But Fitzpatrick has been brought in as a backup for a lot of his career when he was on the Bills, and other places that he was in. He would know his place, but then he would also know that when he needs to step in, he needs to step in. So
why do you think that the stinky mind? I'm going to take that your opinion is fact. All right. The Dolphins stunk last year. We agree on that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why did the Dolphins not stink this year, and the Jets still stink after the fact that they both started with a general management / the only difference is that the Jets had a general manager that wasn't matched up with their coach for one more year than Miami did. Miami had the same had the general manager and the coach come in together. So what's the difference? Was it the front office? Is it the coaching?
Well, I think it's the coaching. A lot of it is the coaching. I think a lot of it, if we're comparing last year's Miami Dolphins if we're comparing, what are we comparing? We're comparing last year's Jets to last year's Miami Dolphins. Is that what you're asking?
Comparing the Jets to the Dolphins, they both hired new coaches at the same time.
Right. Well, I think Flores is a better coach than Gase. Flores is a defensive-minded coach. The Miami Dolphins have been playing pretty good defense for basically the whole year. Yep. And what?
So they have.
Yeah, exactly.
So you think it's more the coaching than it is the roster?
Gase is an offensive-minded coach, and we have not been playing good offensive football for the past 2 years. I feel like Sam Darnold has regressed as a direct result of Gase's non-coaching, and I feel that we just don't have enough talent. I feel like Miami has a lot more talent just about everywhere.
I think the talent plays better. And I think that has to do with, the leadership
coaching
that's over there and the coaching that's over there. Sure. Absolutely. I would definitely agree with that piece. But I mean, so Kyle, I'm trying to understand where you're going with that piece, them versus us, as far as the quarterback conversation is concerned.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that if you take, do you think that Sam Darnold would be a comparable starter if he was on the Miami Dolphins and it was flipped?
I think he'd be better than he is now. Yeah, I do.
Better, but
So then why would you get rid of him?
Why would I get rid of him? Because, like I said,
if you're cleaning house and you're bringing in a whole new coaching staff, the only argument that I hear from you for getting rid of him is because it's the same old environment, and I don't get that. Like, that has nothing to do with skill level. If you think the guy's good, then you keep him because even if you pay him, it's in the 50-year option and everything like that. It's not that much money that it's hard to come back from. But it sounds to me like you think that it's all Gase that has ruined this.
Well, a lot of
people go somewhere else. All of a sudden, he's going to be good, and I don't see that. I see a kid that throws more interceptions than touchdowns.
Okay, well, I think that he is going to be in the right situation with better coaching. I think that he can be a pretty good quarterback. I think that sometimes people change ball clubs and they do better. Like, I'm looking at Marshawn Lynch when he was on the Bills. He was pretty good, but then when he got to the Seattle Seahawks, he became great. He became beast mode, okay? So I think things like a change of environment can sometimes help people a whole lot, and sometimes a change of environment can kind of cause their detriment. So it's one of those things. Sam Darnold is the lowest he can be right now. And I think a change in environment with the skills that he has and proper coaching, he can still, and he's still only, 23 years old, he can be developed into a usable starter.
So to answer your question, which originally was, am I in the thought process of being done with Sam Darnold or not? I'm not sure yet.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure yet. And I'm certainly not going to get rid of him for the reasons that you just gave.
Well, you wouldn't get rid of him to, make Trevor Lawrence feel comfortable?
No, because it's football business. It's not football in the schoolyard.
No.
Not about
and how did he get
feel comfortable.
How did Trevor get the job at Clemson in the first place? Competition. And he ran the competition off the field and off the program. So
Okay.
I don't think he's worried about that piece, and I wouldn't be worried about that either. Plus the fact that when you draft somebody number one of the entire draft, especially because
It's a vote of confidence.
right, it's a vote of confidence. Plus
Yeah.
the other guy, the only reason that I'm here is because the other guy couldn't get the job done. Right at the end of the day. So
I hear you, but then there's also like a locker room kind of culture that I don't want poisoned. Like, Peyton Manning was drafted number one. He knew he was starting. Look at all these number one quarterbacks that come in and they know that they're going to have the job. Like, I want to give my quarterback that, breath of fresh air to know that. But it's the NFL. It's going to be competition regardless. You know what I'm saying? And basically, I don't want to have to waste or waste money on Sam Darnold if I technically don't even want him there. There's another quarterback that I can have come in here and give that competition to Trevor Lawrence.
Or how about let's see what just happened in Cincy too, right? Where Joe Burrow gets his knee shredded, and is going to be out for a minute. And let's say your offensive line isn't where you want it to be at the top of the season, right? And I feel bad trying to sell myself on this because if I get the right trade, the guy's going anyway. But I just don't run him out of town. I think if I'm Joe Douglas, if I get my number that I'm looking for, just like he has assessed a trade value for all of his players, if he gets that number, great. You get it, you move on. If you don't get the number, I think you have there's value in him staying with the organization and being used in some sort of capacity, whether that's be a backup.
That's totally fine.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. But we never brought up the fact of, if we didn't get the number or what have you. Like, I'm not going to get rid of Sam.
I did. Because we were talking about
Yeah, I'm not going to get rid of Sam for a 6th-round draft pick. I'm holding on to him.
For a 6-pack of beers? You're not going to get him rid of him for a 6-pack of beers?
But I'm talking about optimal conditions. I'm talking about optimal conditions here. Do I want Sam to stay the New York Jets quarterback? Not anymore. Do I want Trevor Lawrence? Absolutely. Do I want to bring in another good quarterback in case something happens to Trevor Lawrence? Because this is the NFL. Look at Joe Burrow, who can still bring wins to my New York Jets football team while we're also building and creating weapons around for our quarterback, And I don't want to have to waste that pick in the draft for another quarterback. We get Trevor. We also have that kid Morgan who we're trying to develop, and we bring in another good free agent quarterback and then continue to have him just go at it. It's the NFL. You're going to compete regardless. So, I just think it's a different chemistry if Sam stays and we have we can trade him for good value, but then we keep him anyway. That I don't agree with.
It doesn't sound like you want to pay him if you can't get the trade for him.
If I can't get the trade for him, I'll pay him.
Okay,
but I don't want to, but I will.
Let's just work from there for a second.
Go ahead.
So let's say you can't trade him, and you have to pay him. Then what's up with your chemistry issue?
Wait, Kyle, can we get a definition of what pay him means? Because to me, pay him means the 4th year that you'd owe him anyway, not necessarily anything past that. So can you clarify that piece?
Brandon started the conversation by saying we have to decide on his 5th-year option by May.
Yeah, he didn't say either way. He didn't say, "Hey, let's open up the Brinks truck and give it to him." So to me, I'm only paying him year 4 regardless. But go ahead.
You're saying
there is a cap on the 5th-year option.
Give up the option?
There is a cap on the 5th-year option. So as he's coming into 2021, in May of 2021, you have to decide if you want him for that 5th year. There is a cap on that option. I don't remember what the number is, but it's not like, the 39, 40 million that some of these other free agents are trying to get. These free agent quarterbacks.
Mid to high 20s, 25 to 27, 28 million, somewhere in that range for the 5th
Something
year.
like that. Yeah. So, that will not match what Trevor Lawrence is getting in his first year, But the thing is, if we can't get...
It would be more.
Yeah, it would be more. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it wouldn't be like at the 40 million mark, which is the current trend of the NFL, quarterback.
High-end starter.
High end, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, it's still lower than that. If we can't get something that the GM would think is of good value for him, okay, fine. Because the only other option is to cut him. And I think that we would lose out if we cut him. So I want to be able to hold on to him so that we could trade him.
So you'd pick up the 5th-year option, is what you're saying?
I would be forced to. I would not want to, but I would be forced to if we could not get a team to trade for him at a good value.
Why would you have to do that, though, is my question, because you still have him for year 4.
Yes.
You still have him for year 4, so now we're talking about year 4, and that's already the bill for that is, I don't know, maybe 20, maybe a little under, and then now we're talking about picking up another $25 million for year 5. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I mean, even if he's going to be on the roster, year 4, you're done. Just like Mitch Trubisky, they didn't pick up year 5 of his option, and you play out 4, see how it goes, and then if you increase your value during 4, I can still trade you at the end of 4. Doesn't mean that I have to keep you for 5 or have to
contract for 5. I didn't say keep you for 5, but you have to sign him and then maybe just try to trade him. Either way, I don't want to cut him and waste money, and then I also don't want to trade him for some 6th-round draft pick. So if I need to hold on to him with the thought of maybe, I have to sign him in May, but then maybe trade him in August, that's hot. I would love to do something like that. Ultimately, hands down, I want to trade him away, and I want to get something back. That's what I'm talking about, really. I want to trade him away. I prefer to trade him away before I'm forced to signing him, because in May we have to sign that 5th-year option. That's how the NFL has ruled it. So that's my point. And I want Trevor.
It just seems to me that you have a FOMO issue. You have a fear of missing out on something, whether it's the value of the trade or it's him going someplace else and being good.
I don't care if I want him to go somewhere else and be good. I happen to like him a lot.
But you only want him to go someplace else and be good if you're getting value for him going there, right?
Yeah. I only want to. I only
want
to
cut him. You don't want to cut him and then have him go, because that's what you're afraid of. That you're going to cut him and he's going to be good somewhere else. No.
I want to get something back for releasing or getting rid of the 3rd pick in the 17 or 18 draft, that I traded up for.
Recoup some draft capital. You got to recoup some draft capital.
I want to recoup some, and that's it. It's not about seeing him doing well somewhere and then being like this about it. I don't care about that. This is the NFL. This is the business of the NFL. What?
It kind of sounded like you said that.
Well, you're kind of wrong.
Okay. Well, I think that your best case scenario in not having FOMO is that he might be able to be packaged to move around in the draft. I think that might be where his highest value is.
I don't have any FOMO, bro. I don't even know what that is. I don't have any FOMO.
You have a little bit on your mustache right now, actually.
I think that the any GM worth their salt is not trading their starting quarterback without having another one.
Oh yeah, of course.
So if this guy's your starting quarterback and you don't have another starting quarterback, you're not trading him until you have secured that other person that you will put number 1 on the depth chart. So any trade of Darnold has to come after
the draft. Wow. Yeah, that's after the draft. Which means or during the draft. During the draft. Yeah. During or after. Yeah.
During or after. Yeah. Okay, fine. Or maybe once Lawrence has declared that he's definitely coming out. Once he makes that declaration, yes, I am coming out for the draft, I'd feel much better about making some transactions beforehand.
I would fire Joe. I would fire Joe Douglas if I was the owner, and he traded the starting quarterback before he had the starting quarterback in the building.
Yeah, that dude could fire. He could
straight up because Trevor Lawrence could pull an Elway and refuse to go to the Jets. He could do a Eli Manning and refuse to come. You don't jettison your starting quarterback until you know that you have another one in the building. So I disagree on that. It's going to have to come.
That no other team thinks about it like that except for the New York Jets and their fan base. That stinks.
So I mean, we stink.
The
so
fact
I
that
mean,
we're talking about a new starting quarterback every 3 years is probably the problem.
Yeah.
And a new general manager at that. But
right. Well, you know what? I think we've talked about this quite a bit. We've unpacked it as much as it can be
we're going to
unpacked.
talk about it a lot more over the next coming months too.
You know, I'm still trying to figure out what a FOMO is. It sounds like a curse word. We don't curse on this show, folks. But yeah. So guys, so that was good. So let's move on. Let's talk about who's the one team that you can possibly see the Jets beating this season to ruin their Trevor Lawrence opportunity. What do you guys think?
Is Sam Darnold still our starting quarterback through all that?
B, just answer the.
No, what
that's a very
it's a very good question because I feel like
question.
Flacco has looked good and has made us competitive in the games that he's been in. I was a little frightened.
Flacco has looked okay. He hasn't looked good. He loves to throw a pick six. He loves to throw a pick six.
He threw one pick six, bro.
Brandon, let Brian be a Delaware homer for a second.
What? I'm looking at his stats, bro. Against New England, he had 3 touchdowns and a pick. We haven't seen a quarterback do that in 3 years. I mean, forgive me if he looked good to me. You know? I mean, an average quarterback looks excellent when what you've been watching has been the 33rd ranked quarterback in the league. I'm sorry. He looked okay.
All right, listen, Brian. They're not going to start Flacco.
No, well, okay. Well, I mean, the dudes are.
Because it doesn't make sense to start a 30 whatever.
No, this is not what I'm saying, bro. I mean, the dude could be injured after the game is over. I'm just saying there's a whole bunch of things that could happen with Sam Darnold.
They have a better chance of winning with
Flacco. For this scenario, why don't we go with what is? He completed the game. He's not hurt. He's going to start the next game.
He may not, though. I mean, because on Wednesday we hear about whatever. But anyway, all right. So Raiders, it's a loss. Seahawks, loss. Rams, loss. Browns. I mean, they barely beat the Jags today. I think the Browns.
That's the dice roll for me. That's the dice roll.
It is. It is a dice roll, but I hope we lose all of the darn games.
And then you have New England, which is the last game of the season.
Yeah, we're not beating New England.
We're not going to beat New England.
No, there's no way they want to lose to us, period. And you know what? They could be fighting for something at the end of the season.
We almost beat New England with Flacco.
Huh?
We almost beat New England with Flacco.
This is what I'm saying.
Maybe if Flacco is starting the last game of the season, we beat New England. But I agree with you, Brandon. I don't think that we win any of the rest of the games.
No.
Even with the dice roll. I just don't have confidence in our defense and our offense to play good enough at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that the stat that they threw out there today that Greg Williams has been the defensive coordinator on 2 winless teams, it says it all. Wow. You know what I mean? Like we don't have a good solid coaching staff right now that is in lockstep. You talked about the culture. I think the culture is going to change when somebody else comes in here. Even if it's your favorite guy, Jim Harbaugh, that comes in here.
Kyle. You were the king of projection. You were the king of it.
You brought him up like 5 times, bro.
Yeah. I brought up other coaches too, B.
Not as much as.
But
that's not true. I brought up the enemy the most.
You have a Michigan shirt on underneath there, bro?
I got one upstairs. Also like Notre Dame too. But I brought up the enemy the most. The enemy the most.
It's Notre Dame, by the way. Let's get it right.
You don't speak French, B.
You know what I think?
Only in Paris, bro. Only in Paris to speak French.
I think that Notre Dame quarterback, Ian Book, if we don't get the first pick in the draft and get to pick Trevor Lawrence, there's at least 3 starters, in my opinion, that are floating around that draft.
What round are you trying to get Ian Book in, Kyle?
You know what? I was thinking about this yesterday, and I think that what happens is as we get closer and closer to the draft, quarterbacks, based on how many there are and how people feel about them and, the experts out there, they get they get locked into areas, like that round 1 to 2, round 2 to 3, 3 to 4, that kind of thing. And I don't know where Ian Book is going to wind up on that spectrum when you have a guy like Justin Fields out there and the Mac Jones kid who's probably going to be a top 3 for Heisman. And then you have these other guys that I really like De'Aaron King and Ian Book, the kid from BYU, who I don't even think is draft eligible. But there's some dudes here. There's guys that I think are going to surprise some people. I don't know. I think Ian Book is a second round on probably, but he might become a first round pick because of how hyped up he gets come draft time. I think everybody's going to be, just like you said, like generational talent in Trevor Lawrence and then everybody else. And I'm not on the Justin Fields bandwagon because I've seen so many Cardale Jones, Troy Smiths,
Mike Jones,
Haskins in
I'm with you, Kyle, on that 100%, Kyle. I totally agree with you there. For the most part, I'm not an Ohio State QB kind of a guy. I like to get linemen, cornerbacks out of Ohio State.
Sure.
And O lines and not even their D linemen for the most part, but I do like Chase. Chase is hot.
DNs, yeah. You get some DNs from there. Yeah, absolutely.
Not the interior.
Not Vernon Golston.
Not that dude. Listen, I don't even want to have this conversation, bro. Right? I don't even want to talk about the second, third, and fourth tiers and where we're gonna pick this Ian Book up and all that kind of stuff.
FOMO.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have FOMO all over the place right now. All right.
I ain't never had no FOMO in my life. Get out of here. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, whatever, bro.
FOMO.
So listen, I just want to lose all the rest of our games so we don't have to worry about that. You feel me? All right? I just want to lose all the rest of our games, and this is 100% in our control. I think the Jags may win another game, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And the worst thing that would happen, it would be so Jets.
I know.
Would be to win a meaningless game. What we have, 11 losses? Five losses left to do the right thing. All right?
A meaningless game with the coach's decision of starting Joe Flacco.
Right. Because Joe, listen.
I would go to your house and fight you, B.
Joe has 6 touchdowns and 3 picks. Darnold has 3 touchdowns and 8 picks. Who do you want to start for the rest of the season in order to make sure we land this plane? Sam Darnold, get in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Get in there. Bring in your successor. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need right now, man. 5 more losses, right? People hit me up on the side like, yo, man, your team sucks. I'm like, I wanted to lose today. I don't care.
Yeah.
Not hurt my feelings. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let's
Somebody
do it.
texted me today, and they were like, oh, I bet you miss Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I was like, no, I don't. Just bring me Trevor.
Trevor.
So, listen, I'm at the point right now where I'm just like, by 2020 season, it's already COVID riddled. I just want to just get rid of it. Just make sure that I have the first pick or the Jets have the first pick in the draft, and give me a healthy Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
And give me a healthy Trevor Lawrence for the 2021 season. Don't
Yes.
Joe Burrow me. Don't Joe Burrow me. Please. Just let me see something.
B.
And can you imagine the feeling that we as Jet fans are going to have to see a full season of production from a high-end quarterback?
B.
Like, we haven't seen this.
Yo,
Oh
let's dream for a second. So I was dreaming yesterday, right? I was dreaming yesterday. I was so dreaming yesterday. I allowed myself to think that good things could come to the Jets. And I was like, you know what? Trevor Lawrence, it's almost like he was mine yesterday, right? And I was watching him play for us. I was like, this guy is amazing, right? Run pass option, moving around in the pocket. The dude has wheels. He is accurate. I didn't see him throw an inaccurate ball. I saw a drop, but he put it on the dude, and I mean, there's nothing left for him to do. Deep accuracy, outside, It was all over the place, immaculate. Now, was he playing, against Alabama or LSU or whatever? Maybe not, but it didn't matter because he still was making the right decisions and was throwing the ball and putting it on people. I was like, man, I can't salivating like at the side of the mouth. When you wake up in the morning. Yo,
I hope we don't pick him and then he gets mono.
Come on, Kyle. That'd be so Jets of us. And then we have to scrub the entire building because it happened twice.
That would tweak me.
It would definitely not pique me. Is that a pivot?
That was
Is that a segue?
Yeah, we can use it as a segue. You know what I mean? But basically, just to wrap this one up, I say the Browns. Brian, you said the Browns. What about you, Kyle? You think what team could possibly ruin it for us?
If Las Vegas plays like they did today, then maybe Las Vegas.
Yeah, now is that? Are we going out there? Are we going out there? Yes. Or they coming here?
I think we go out there. I think.
Well, we don't win in Oakland, but who knows if we can win in Las Vegas?
I know.
Oh yeah, that too.
And hey, Vegas, that's definitely a roll of the dice. Wink, wink, right? Hey.
Dad jokes to the fullest.
That's how you transition out of a segment with corny dad jokes. Brian, cue up the tweak me, peek me. That's coming up next, baby. Woo!
Word.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you've reached our segment called Tweak Me, Peek Me. This is basically, where we talk about what we love and what we kind of detest. Things that are just happy-go-lucky and things that are just really sour. All righty? So in this Tweak Me, Peek Me segment, I think I want to start this one off, okay? And first I'm going to go with Peek Me, things that just make me think of all the good stuff, the potential that I'm envisioning for the Jets. So the first person on the block who is piquing me, and I've been talking about him all year, I love this kid, Quinnen Williams. I really do.
Cute.
I love him. He's awesome. He had 7 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 batted passes, a forced fumble, 3 quarterback hits, and a tackle for loss. The kid had a great game. He had the second most tackles on the field as an interior defensive lineman, not exterior, but interior defensive lineman. And we know as former football players in high school and in college that interior tackles don't make as many tackles because they're the ones usually allowing for the linebackers to make most of the tackles. So the guy
safe to say that was the best game that he played as a New York Jet.
I think it's up there. Yes, I would say so.
There was a play that's not on your stat sheet that he made. Where he kind of got juked by the running back and flew past him and fell down, and then got up and was in on the tackle, like 3 yards downfield. And I thought that was probably the most impressive thing that I saw all day. And it's not something that comes up on all those great stats that you just said. Yeah. But it's worth noting.
That's coming from your coach's mind, and that's a good eye to have, as Coach Kyle McKenna, Captain Kyle McKenna, just stated. So good job, Kyle.
Yeah, and you were the one that took up all those blocks for me when I was making all my tackles. So I appreciate that.
No doubt, man. I appreciate
your alignment.
Yeah, man. I was happy to do it too. It's all good. And then you know what? Remember that sack I made against Massapequa? It's on the highlight. And then you and I both did the same motion at the same time.
We got to get that on YouTube.
We do, man.
The Baldwin Bruins 1991. We don't need another hero highlight film.
Wow. Yeah.
Let me find out you guys dance alike. I didn't realize that. You guys were on the tandem dance team in high school. I wasn't aware of something.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Lloyd Holst was the third guy.
Yeah. Another guy that I want to talk about, and Kyle and I were in on this in our text conversation, Harvey Lange. You know what? I like this guy. I like him a lot. Even when he doesn't do as well, if he misses a tackle or should have batted a ball down in coverage or something, there's nothing that this guy doesn't do as far as he doesn't lack for energy. He's a try-hard kind of guy. He's very athletic, and he flies around the field. And I just love that energy about him. I want him to come back. I want the Jets to re-sign him. If he ends up starting, maybe next to Mosley, I'd be like, oh, okay, but I would prefer him as a backup, but first one in, not as a third stringer, first one in.
You know what he reminds me of?
Who's that?
The linebacker version of Palomalu.
Yeah.
Dude's all over the place, right? The hair is just flying around.
That hair is dancing in the back. I love it.
Yeah.
He really does. He really does fly around and make plays, in the backfield or on the between the hash and the sideline, which is for a linebacker. That's big time because it means you cover a lot of lateral ground. Mm-hmm. I would say his coverage is probably his least good asset. He's more of a run defender,
right?
And a tackler than he is a coverage guy.
And it's not that he's slow, which inhibits his coverage. It's more of a seeing it and anticipation. And I think he can be
downhill guy.
Better. What was that?
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. He's a downhill guy.
Yeah.
Not a back pedal guy.
Exactly. The next guy on my list for my peak, I love this guy too. Former defensive lineman. I love Kyle Foley, right? Foley
Fatukasi, yeah.
Foley Fatukasi out of UConn.
Axel Foley Fatukasi.
Yeah, exactly. Axel Foley.
Yep.
He had 4 tackles and a sack today. He eats up a lot of space. He's a young kid in his second year, I believe, and he's more athletic than one would think. And I watch him. He jams up the interior lineman at the line of scrimmage. And just when you think the running back is going to run by him, he's already making a tackle, and the running back is only getting a gain of, say, 2 yards or so, And if you get a gain of 2 yards for each down, you're punting. So, and he's got pretty good pass rush moves for a big, burly guy like that. I happen to like him a lot. He's disciplined. He's high energy for a big man. And like I was saying in my texts, I want to see more of him and Quentin Williams on the field at the same time, both playing interior tackles. And when I saw that, I saw a little bit of havoc being reached.
Sure.
I saw a little bit of havoc being reached, and I happen to love it. And those two guys can be the building blocks of this defense. And Joe Douglas, he said it. He said to build this team, both lines and the quarterback. Okay, so we have Mekhi Becton. We need to continue building around him. We have Quentin. We have Foley. Let's continue to build around them. And then, sorry, Sam, we've already, exhausted dialogue with this, but we need to kind of let you go into the pastures and bring in Trevor Lawrence. And then just to wrap things up, I'll go with this one quickly. Marcus May, solid. I'll let Brian talk about him as a former DB. And then I loved Mims and Perryman today. Kyle's been talking up Perryman a lot. And Kyle, I never went against you as far as Perryman is concerned, but you've opened up my eyes more to Perryman and how good he is. Basically, he just needs to stay on the field and be healthy for me to really see how valuable he can be. But
did he have a touchdown today?
No, he did not.
We didn't have a touchdown today.
Right. Well, that was a streak that was broken because he had touchdowns or multiple touchdowns in the last 2 games.
Blue hen. Blue hen. Sorry.
And so now the tweak me part of it, this is quick. Adam Gase stinks. Turning the page on that. And then, you know what? I've been accused of not admitting to Sam Darnold and his lack of skill or what have you. But I don't think I have been. I just wanted to give him more of a chance where people didn't want to give him more of a chance. But
facts.
I feel like Sam Darnold is just not playing well, and he's not putting himself in the best position during his audition process. Right now, this is an audition for him, and he's not auditioning well. And if you don't audition well, And if you don't interview well, you're probably not going to get the job.
You don't get the part.
So, yeah, you don't get the part. You're not going to get the job. So he's got 5 more games. And I'm not talking about getting the part as far as being the Jets quarterback, because I think that that's history now. He's auditioning for roles elsewhere, and he's kind of shooting himself in the foot. And Gase is giving him not the 22 caliber, but he's giving him the 12 gauge shotgun so that he has no more foot left. So you like that one? But yeah, so that's it for my tweak me, peek me. Darnold kind of tweaked me. Gase always tweaks me. And you guys heard all of my peaks. It was pretty in-depth. Go Q. Quentin.
Brian, what do you got?
All right. So just to wrap up the Fatukasi. So he was the 3rd highest Pro Football Focus's ranked defender in Week 9. And his grade year to date is 84.2. To put that in perspective, it's pretty darn good. All right. I don't know where he is as far as his particular role, but man, he's phenomenal. Thanks for bringing him up. Listen,
do you have the numbers on Quentin, Brian? The PFF numbers on Quentin for today's game or no?
Nah, I don't. But you can probably look it up. I don't know if they're gonna have today's game.
Gotcha.
Just wrapped up.
Too soon. Yeah.
Too soon. But I'm gonna go with the listen, the peak me. I think I mentioned that. Was sitting back and watching Trevor Lawrence just play the game of football as the quarterback, right? And imagining that dude on our team. I'm going to watch him over the next 4 or 5 weeks. I've watched him in the years past as well, and I've always admired him before I even knew that potentially he'd be potentially our pick next year. But, man, watching him carve up a defense and make great decisions and all of those things is what piques me, because I don't think we're going to win any game in the next 5 without some supreme luck. And I like the way the defense played today. It was very spirited and stuff like that, but with Sam Darnold leading our team and playing the way he's playing right now, I can't see us winning any of those 5 games. We'll come close against Cleveland, but that'll probably be it. So what piques me is that we're going to go 0-5. Trevor Lawrence, come on. Come. Sit right next to me. And do your thing. So that's what piques me. What tweaks me is, I fell asleep in the first quarter of this game. And I was just out of pure boredom. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to watch the game. I was ready. I was sitting there at 1:00, like I'm ready. And then I was like, you know what? This kind of sucks. Kind of blows that my team is terrible. And watching Sam Darnold is like watching paint dry. And so to be up where I was up on Saturday watching Trevor Lawrence potentially be the successor, and then watch the person that had the role. And I actually thought, you know what, maybe he's going to play okay. Because after some time off, normally comes in, he seems focused. He's going to play a good game. But we lost 20-3. And it really wasn't that close. The only reason it was close because the defense kept us in it with turnovers and all those other things that we could never take any advantage of. The last piece is, you know what? Like Brandon mentioned, he didn't go into detail, but Adam Gase, there's a 3-legged stool that goes into why we are not a good football team. And obviously he's part of that as well. McCagnon, obviously there too, who's no longer with the organization. But that play, 4th and 1, with Gore running left, off tackle left. How many times have we seen that play? We couldn't do anything different. Naked bootleg, maybe. Try to fool the defense once in 11 games to say, you know what? Everybody knows we're going to do this. That's why we're going to do that. Something different in order to actually get the first down. It seems that, I want to tank as a fan, but it seems like Gase is tanking as a coach. You couldn't have thought with any regularity that we were going to get that 1 yard. It's one thing to run it when it doesn't matter. It's 1st and 10 and run on the 50. It's another thing to run it. That's the only play you run on the 4th and 1 in any game. So just to be that unimaginative and to know that everybody knew that that was the play. My wife doesn't watch the games, but she probably knew that that was the play too. My 7-year-old son. It's crazy that
I think
he is the coach.
Part of that too, though. Like, I would have liked for him to have done something at the end of the half that was possibly going for it or using the time better, and then maybe kicking the field goal there. But in reality, I probably would have gone for it both times. But the everybody was blocked except for the one guy that wasn't blocked. So it's like
it's sort of like he's trying to prove a point, Kyle. Right? Like we didn't run it. Like we didn't run it correctly, or we didn't get it 2 games ago, so we're gonna run it again because we've practiced during the week. We're going to get this 1 yard with the same play. They know what it is. What are you doing? Like, you throw a pass. Naked bootleg with Darnold who's got some wheels. Who can get to the outside is 1 yard. Like
run a reverse with the wide receiver or something. I don't know.
I saw them. They were throwing long on 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 6s also. Like, that was another thing that kept happening in the game where, why are you throwing 25 yards downfield? Throwing an incompletion on a 3rd and 3. There's so many different things you can do with play action, and it's
like play action on 1st down when you're down by 17 points and there's 6 minutes left in the game, but instead you're running off tackle left again on 1st down.
Doesn't make any sense.
What? Go ahead, Kyle.
So what piqued me today was that we started 3 rookies in the defensive backfield, and they didn't look that bad.
I agree.
I think that Bryce Hall might wind up being what we thought he was.
It's gonna be a gamer.
Jury's out on that, but that's a possibility. Lamar Jackson didn't look too bad either. Ashton Davis. I don't know how I feel about Ashton Davis long term yet. Like, I kind of want to see, another year of him and see if once he's a little bit more familiar with the NFL game. But Marcus May is a guy that I keep there because he gives you some stability down the middle. And
you might have been right about Jeremy Chin too.
So I was just going to bring up Jeremy Chin. So if we had drafted Jeremy Chin,
what's he doing right now?
He ran back 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns today.
It looks as though Jeremy Chin could have been a cheap way to do exactly what we did with Jamal Adams in our defense. And I think we missed the boat on that. It's like I still don't think that in the story of Jamal Adams, when the story of Jamal Adams is totally told, and you guys know how I feel about selecting Jamal Adams over Pat Mahomes. We've talked about that to death. But Jamal Adams will never be – the legacy will not have him being worth the 3rd pick in the draft because he's a limited safety that does a very small amount of things really well.
Jamal was number 6 in the draft, number 6.
I'm sorry. We picked number 3 so many times I get confused. So as the number 6 pick in the draft, it was another one of those McCagnon no-brainers where he just did what everybody else said because the rest of his scouting, didn't produce any players that are even still on the team. And the same thing with Idzig. We know that was part of the 3-legged bench. But I think that
and then you have Deshaun Watson too. So you had 2 opportunities to get that pick right, with a quarterback that you needed, and you drafted neither. And yeah, good pick for Jamal Adams. But to your point, somebody that's going to make an impact on their organization, obviously Patrick Mahomes, by far number one. Deshaun Watson, clearly number two.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson the number two, but right now he's playing as good as any quarterback in the league right now.
Absolutely. Without his number one wide receiver. So can he do it without Nuke? He absolutely is. 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, some nonsense. My God, the dude is crazy.
A quarterback that throws more touchdowns than interceptions.
Hello.
And might mess around and have a 4-touchdown game every once in a while. That's what we're missing. The real tweak that I had is specific here. I can't believe that after reviewing that Devontae Parker catch that they gave it to him. It was very clear that he never caught that ball. Yeah. And in a game that's 20-3, that led to a touchdown. And so you had an opportunity to right a wrong call on the field. You didn't, and it played a part in the final score of the game and the outcome of the game. As bad as the Jets, can be, their defense played pretty well today, and especially in the second half, and they hung around. So, this is we have constant FOMO because we are watching everybody else's team do things while our team continues to do the same thing over and over again. And I hope that we don't miss out on a great coach this time and watch Eric Bieniemy or Matt Campbell, like Kerry likes to say, or one of these other guys. Matt Campbell probably won a Big 12 conference championship for the first time in Iowa State since 1912. That's a culture changer. PJ Fleck, guy like that could be a culture changer. Eric Bieniemy, that's an X's and O's guy that comes in with that Andy Reid system. I have FOMO. I don't want to miss out on those guys. I'm afraid that we will. Even more so than I think I'm afraid we'll miss out on Trevor Lawrence, because I don't even think that, like I said, I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is going to want to play here, even if we have the number one pick. I think that you're going to have to sell him on that.
There's a selling process. I think the selling process, I don't think that Joe Douglas at this point looks, weary to people. I think that getting rid of the coach is the number one step. Maybe it's the ownership, but is this kid going to look into it that deeply? There's a bunch of other franchises like the Detroit Lions that have more of a losing history than the New York Jets, like the Cleveland Browns that have more of a losing history. You know that you're going to be the number one pick. You know that you're going to go to a team that's not good. But if you have a strong GM, and everyone so far, basically Joe Douglas, he's come from great stock as far as how he's learned how to GM. He's made some good moves. You're not perfect, right? But he has made some good moves. And people around the league do respect him. So I think the one thing, it needs to come out and become public knowledge that the Jets ownership is going to give the GM all the power, in running the operational aspects of the football team and acquiring talent. And then once that is public knowledge, I don't anticipate any inhibitions by Trevor Lawrence. And even without that, I still don't anticipate that as well. But
it's just not a slam dunk, though, B. I just, there's just a question mark, right? If he had said, "Hey, I'm coming out," I'm definitely coming out, blah, blah, blah. Most people think he's going to come out. His own coach thinks he's going to come out, right?
Yeah, of course. I think he's going to come out, too. And usually they don't talk like that until the season's over. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and they usually do it in December before the combines and stuff.
I just love to have him be excited about what he might be coming to.
Yeah.
I'd like there to be an air of excitement around the New York Jets that makes it look like, hey, you want to come here because we're about to do some great things. And that's going to come from the choice of coach. And it's going to come from the operation of the general manager, because he is, in my opinion, Joe Douglas has already proven that he can draft.
I agree.
He had a better draft this year than Idzig and McCagnon had in all the years that they were there.
Well, we had a pretty low bar, though. We had a pretty low bar, so it's, you know what I mean. It's tough. not to say that you may be correct, right? Because Mims looks like a player, and obviously Becton looks very good, and we have some other players that are out there. But I would put a pause on it yet, right? We don't have any all-stars yet, right? And all of that stuff. But I think that so far looks good. I don't see any busts so far.
Who did we draft that isn't playing some sort of role?
But here's the problem when I have that as the bar. Our roster is horrible, so you have to play a role. There's no talent in front of you. So
he drafted a Pro Bowl punter and he drafted a potential Pro Bowl left tackle as rookies.
Pro Bowl left tackle this year? You talking about?
I mean, he's like third in the voting.
Becton?
Yes. Yeah. And so is the punter.
Really?
The punter's first.
Yep.
Punts a lot.
Yep.
Get out of there. Clearly.
Here's the thing, though. Let's put it into proper perspective. Fan voting. So fans play a third. Players play a third, and then coaches play a third. And that's how you configure who's going to be going to the Pro Bowl. But still, you got to vote, right? And yes, the punter is number one, and I believe Becton is number 3, like Kyle was saying. But here's the thing: even before that, I'm hearing all around that basically we drafted someone who could be potentially wearing that yellow jacket at the end of his career. He's a borderline dominant offensive tackle. And then we have Ashton, who's starting. We have Mims, who's now starting and looks really good and a natural receiver and plays tough. We have Bryce Hall, who is now starting. Looks good. He's got some length to him, too. He's like a solid 6'2", and I like tall.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy, looking good out there. And I'd say that he did better drafting than he did with free agency, because the free agent that he brought in for like the O-line, he's got to, remedy that situation this coming off season. So he's a work in progress. This is his first GM job, but I think from a draft perspective, he's doing a pretty good job. He needs to do a better job with free agency. So guys, let's move on real quick. Real quick. Just give it to me. Predict next week we play the Raiders. All righty. I'm going to tell you mine right now. 38-10. Raiders kick our heads in. Kyle, you go.
36-14. Raiders.
31-10. Raiders.
Man, everybody's in the 30s. Gee whiz. Anyway,
they score a lot of points, man, and we don't.
Yeah, I know. That's true. Even though they didn't score a lot of points today, but the Raiders are the only team that beat the Kansas City Chiefs this season. So we'll see. All right, folks, listen, thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast. We want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK podcast fan page. You can find us on Twitter on @BKBK podcast, Instagram @BKBK podcast, as well as on YouTube. When you go to YouTube, just type in BKBK podcast. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, and please share us all over the place and show the love. And if you can't watch us, you can just listen to us on iTunes. Go to bkbkpodcast.podomatic.com. All right, guys and girls, that's it. Let's go Jets, going 0-16. Let's go Baldwin Bruins, and let's go Team BKBK. And we're out like stout.